Saleh made some comments about legal sign stealing. Is there any thoughts to that? I mean,
yeah, I'm not going to speak on that fully right now. Have a huge game for us coming up this weekend. We've got a great defense that we've got to go and attack, and that's where our whole mindset and mentality is right now.
Were you surprised he went there?
Yeah, again, we're really trying to focus on a darn good defense that we have to go and try to go attack, and offensively get better, about us getting better, putting it together for 4 quarters and trying to create some explosives in the pass game, some of those things that we're trying to get better at as an offense. And so that's where the focus is right now.
Forgetting his comments, isn't that part of coaching, is trying to figure out whatever tell your opponent has?
Yeah, I mean, we have kind of typically, by formation, by game plan, by working really hard as a coaching staff throughout the week, trying to get indicators by your formation, motion, shift, pre-snap. Those are the things that you're trying to do as a coach if you're trying to put your players in the best position to be successful, whether it's attacking man or zone coverage with your formations, motions, and concepts. So it's a lot of hard work that goes into game planning and trying to put your players in the best position to be successful.
you mentioned the explosives on offense early in the week. You said in order for it to show up on the game field, got to show up on the practice field. How have you felt about what you've seen from the team on the practice field this week?
I think we were a little kind of banged up early in the week, and just in terms of soreness, right? Getting some of the soreness out, playing 2 weeks of kind of down to the wire ball in a physical game last Sunday. So, we try to take care of these guys a little bit throughout the week, but man, they practiced hard again. I mean, they practiced their tail off. It was hot as heck out here, but they practiced hard. We did connect on a few down the field throws to some of those guys. That was nice to see. And like we've talked about, it has to occur in practice for it to truly come to life on Sundays. So excited about the opportunity to have a lot of confidence in these guys to go out and make plays on Sunday.
How would you evaluate the week your wide receiver room had?
Yeah, I think it was solid. I think we're trying to take the right steps moving forward. They're doing a ton of extra in the walkthroughs. They're doing a ton of extra post-practice to ultimately, go and put ourselves in a position to make those plays on Sunday, right? It's just building their confidence to go out, and we've all seen these guys make great plays and make the routine ones routine, and then also, man, this is the NFL. We do have to go up and make plays, and the quarterback's got a responsibility, the O-line's got a responsibility in the pass game, but I've got a lot of confidence in these guys to go out and do it on Sunday.
How much of a challenge are the 49ers on third down on both sides of the ball? Because for all their injuries, they're still converting at a pretty high percentage on offense, and defensively, they're only allowing 33.33%.
Yeah, I think if you look offensively, they do a nice job of using their eligibles in the pass game. So if they don't think they're maybe getting a pressure between a certain window, they do a nice job of getting 5 out, maybe having the illusion of a 6-man or a 7-man protection, but then free releasing those guys and putting a little bit more stress on the back end and in the coverage. Obviously if Purdy plays, he can extend on third downs and use his legs as well. So, definitely a challenge. And then offensively, I think for us, they try to get home with 4, but then they will send some blitzes and play some, coverage in the back end that is like a little bit more 5-man in coverage, and we'll play some man and get hands-on in man coverage when they do want to rush a little bit more. So huge week for us to improve. Obviously, I thought last week we took a step defensively on third down. This week we got to take the step as a team on third down and really try to win situational football.
How rare is it to prepare for a team that seems to kind of be funneling its passing game to its running back?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think getting Demarcus Robinson back will obviously continue to help that. Pearsall's doing some good things out there as well. And when you've got McCaffrey, that is it 6-man pro? Is it 5-man where he's free releasing? Is he out at a receiver position? Is he you know, how they motion him out where he's like almost in between a receiver and a running back spot. I mean, that's a challenge to know, especially if you have anything from a coverage standpoint or a blitz standpoint based on where the back is located, right? That definitely presents those challenges. And then as a player, he's talented. So when you get the ball in his hands and maybe short of the sticks and he ends up making somebody miss or breaks a tackle, I thought, like I said, we took a step last week in terms of tackling as a team. We're gonna have to be great at it again this week.
This is a little off topic, but when you first got here, you met with a lot of different guys just to talk to them, get to know them. Do you see some of those seeds that you planted way back then kind of show up now that the bullets are flying?
You know, I think so. I think our guys have been very open since we got here as a team to building relationships, honestly. You know, I think it's something that we did put an emphasis on as a coaching staff to look. I've said this numerous times, we're not going to just get their respect just because we're coaches, right? They do have to understand that there is more to it. They have to feel that, I think, as players, and also respect the situations you're putting them in games. And if you're constantly, if you're putting them in advantageous situations in the game at times, and they know that, I think there's just a little bit more buy-in in relationships to knowing that, man, like, we are truly trying to get the best out of all you guys for the betterment of the team. We want to see every player have success, whether it's for the next contract, whether it's for their career, for their family, for their personal goals. Like, those all mean something to us. But at the end of the day, it is about the team. And I think our guys have done a nice job of trying to do this with not just themselves, but also with us as coaches. It's been fun to coach them so far.
How would you evaluate Brenton Strange's usage through 3 weeks and where it could or should go?
Yeah, I mean, very pleased with Brenton. I mean, he plays his tail off. I mean, it's like a car accident every time he's out there, whether he's catching it and getting hit and staying on his feet and going and competing to get more, or in the run game when he is blocking and able to spring some of those runs to get some more explosives that way. I just very much respect the way he plays the game. He kind of embodies so many of the things that we want to be as an offense and as a team. And I think, you know, as he continues to go and gets more comfortable within the role that he's in, I do believe he's just going to continue to go in the right direction and get more and more.
You've spoken about Anton Harrison meeting the challenge. From a skill set and a talent standpoint, how elite maybe is too strong, but where is Anton is just in terms of his athleticism for the position?
Very, very talented, very gifted. He has finished, I think, better. He has trained more. He has played for himself, his pride, but also playing for each other and playing for his teammates. And look, man, when he's playing and moving, and it's hard to get past him. I mean, he definitely has really good feet. He can anchor down, speed, the power, whatever those rushes are. I think he does a nice job of using his toolbox as well. You know, it's hard to just say it's raw talent because, man, he's put a lot of time, I think, into working with those coaches, working with them, you know, on his individual, and getting the details of how he wants to set somebody each week and what maybe is going to be the counter set to those things. You know, been very pleased with Anton so far.
Is your history of coaching against the 49ers and, you know, maybe Eric Armstead also having experience with San Francisco, Liam Coen, or James Gladstone being out there as well, does that make it a unique week of preparation for this more so than some other games?
Yeah, and especially off the heels of Houston, because there's so many similarities there. Not just structurally, but the way they play, right? Their style of play is very similar to the group that in Houston that we just played. And so from a mindset, you know, going into it, before you even turn the tape on, it's going to be a physical, violent football game. And that's got to be our mindset going into every week, but especially these games that, you know, what their intent is in all three phases, which is to play physical and violent and get after you, and what we have to do to continue to take those steps as a team, and there's a little bit more. Yeah, we've played against them a bunch, right? Like we definitely have. We played them last year in Tampa, so there's definitely some things you can draw back on a little, but also every year is a new year, every team's a new team, and it's definitely interesting that you play them twice a year in LA, so you get to kind of know each other. What are the routes that we like against their coverages? But then they also start to see those and combat that, and so it's that chess match, really in all three phases, that we can kind of draw back on some experience, but try not to look too far behind.
Oh, and obviously you came up with Sean. What is your relationship, if at all having a relationship with Kyle, maybe early memories of Kyle Shanahan and that offensive structure?
Yeah, I did get to talk to Kyle a little bit at the owners' meetings. He was very supportive and really tried to, over my years being in LA, you're always watching them, not just when you're playing them, but I was responsible for breaking down the opponent's explosives, right, that they had, or just around the league, where you're watching around the league, their explosives, whether it's in the run, the pass, the screen, whatever it is, and you have there's a ton of respect for the way that he formations things to scheme up and attack his specific coverages that he's thinking he's going to get, built on being physical in the run game, which is something I really appreciate and have learned probably through watching so much of the way that they've played and the way that we tried to do things in LA at times. And I've got a lot of respect for Kyle, and he's won so much there that you're like, you're gonna have to be on your P's and Q's in terms of the details, the scheme, but also the way in which we play is gonna have to all come to life this weekend.
I forgot, was Shane in Washington?
But I don't think Kyle was.
Okay.
Kyle maybe had just gone to Atlanta before, I think, but there was so much there from, whether it was his dad being there prior and Kyle being there. There was so much of the you look at their playbook, from Washington to when we went to Los Angeles to what it was in San Fran. Like the playbook, so much of it's the same, from like early installs.
Yeah.
When you talk about installs 1 through 5, whatever it is, there was a lot of similarities. Maybe some things called a little bit differently, but the concepts, in the pass and the run, it's almost, you could say it's a carbon copy. And then over the years, both of those guys, whether it's Sean or Kyle, kind of, you start to diversify and do things that ended up fitting your personnel a little bit differently, but the foundation of both of these systems is eerily similar. Yeah.
You talked earlier this week about helping Hunter out a little bit on offense. Just how have you seen him progress, just as a receiver, and then also with what you guys have done? But also, how have you felt like he's been used within this offense in terms of getting touches and all that stuff?
Yeah, I thought last week he definitely made a play with the ball in his hands, and I think we can continue to get the ball in his hands as much as it allows from a formation, motion, the concept, the coverage. Sometimes dictates where the ball goes. Was very nice to see him on a 2nd and long, I believe it was, catch a 5-yard pass and go do something with it. Right, that's so much that's a part of this game, and it's not something you can necessarily always coach them to do. So, I think as we continue to go, his usage will continue to go.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks,